that does not mean the South China Sea is becoming any safer. Quite the opposite. As Southeast Asian claimants have realized that Beijing is unable to stop their activities in gray zone methods alone.
January 19th, 1974. A Saturday morning. South Vietnamese sailors woke up to Chinese warships surrounding the Paracel Islands. By Sunday evening, it was over. China controlled every rock, every reef, every grain of sand. Saigon protested. Washington said nothing. The world moved on. It took China one weekend to seize the Paracels. It has taken them 52 years to finish what they started. This is Antelope Reef. 5 months ago, it was an empty coral reef in those same Paracel Islands. Nothing here but ocean. Today, over 30 dredging ships. 15 square kilometers of reef destroyed. New land where the sea used to be. None of the vessels visible on any commercial tracking system. And if construction continues at this pace, it will become the largest artificial island China has ever built in the South China Sea. Bigger than Mischief Reef. Bigger than Fiery Cross, bigger than anything they have done before. They built it while the world was watching Iran, and almost nobody noticed until now. Let me tell you the story of a sandbar, because that is what Antelope Reef was. The Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative at CSIS, the gold standard for South China Sea analysis, used to describe it as little more than a sandbar. 2 buildings. Minimal infrastructure. One of China's smallest outposts in the entire Paracel chain. The kind of place you would scroll past on a satellite map without a second look. Then, something changed. Sometime after October 15th, 2025, European Space Agency satellites picked up movement. Sand dredging. Concentrated at 4 sites along the eastern and southern edges of the lagoon. 2 ships at first. Then more arrived. By December, 2 large cutter suction dredgers were operating inside the reef, accompanied by roll-on, roll-off transport vessels carrying heavy equipment. The UK's open source center was the first to flag it. By January, 12 dredgers. New infrastructure visible from space. An access channel carved through the coral. Roll-on, roll-off berths for landing construction machinery. Prefabricated shelters appearing on raw land that did not exist 2 months earlier. By February, 22 dredgers. And here's the detail that should chill you, 0. Not a single vessel appeared on any commercial tracking system. Invisible. If you were watching shipping data, the Crescent Group looked empty. Just a few fishing boats nearby. The only way to see what was really happening was from space. By March 2026, over 30 vessels were spotted inside the lagoon. And the numbers that AMTI published on March 20 stopped everyone in the Indo-Pacific policy world cold. 14 acres apart. 5 months of work. And the dredging is not finished. If construction proceeds at the pace seen in satellite imagery, Antelope Reef is set to become China's largest feature in the Paracels, and potentially in the entire South China Sea, equaling or even surpassing the size of Mischief Reef in the Spratlys. Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative. Think about that for a moment. China's biggest island building project since 2017, completed faster than any before it. And it happened while every news channel on Earth was covering the Strait of Hormuz. Here is what we can see from space, and every detail tells a story about what China intends to do with this island. Start with the northwestern edge. It has been fashioned into a straight line, over 11,000 feet long. That is not how nature works. Nature does not build straight edges on coral reefs. Engineers do. And there is only one reason to build a straight edge of that length on an artificial island. A runway, 9,000 feet. That is the size of the runways China has already built at Woody Island, Mischief Reef, Subi Reef, and Fiery Cross Reef. Every single one of those runways now hosts fighter jets, bombers, and KJ-500 early warning aircraft. Every single one was described as civilian infrastructure before it became military. China can see and hear and communicate across the whole South China Sea in a way that nobody else, including the United States, can. Gregory Poling. Now look at the lagoon. It has been cleared of coral obstructions. A deep entrance channel has been carved. Straight quay walls have been built for ship berthing. This is not a fishing harbor. This is a military anchorage. The same design appears at Mischief Reef, where Chinese Coast Guard cutters, maritime militia boats, and naval vessels shelter inside the lagoon permanently. AMTI says Antelope's lagoon could support the same kind of fleet presence. And then there are the structures. More than 50 small gray roofed buildings have appeared. A helipad near the lagoon entrance. Foundations for larger buildings. Several jetties, what appears to be the beginning of a concrete plant. This is Phase 2, the infrastructure phase. Phase 1, dredging and reclamation, is nearly complete. Phase 3 is what comes next. Radar, communications arrays, weapon systems, hardened storage. The same equipment that turned Fiery Cross Reef from a sandbar into an airbase capable of projecting Chinese power across the entire South China Sea. One military base is a position. 2 is a presence. 28 is a system. China now has 20 outposts in the Paracels, 7 in the Spratlys, and controls Scarborough Shoal through a permanent Coast Guard presence. That is 28 positions across the South China Sea. Each one reinforces every other. A PLA article published in July 2025 described China's South China Sea outposts as providing, and these are their words, all-weather and all-round situational awareness capabilities. Capable of effectively monitoring every move of military forces within the area. Every new island does not just add one more dot on the map. It multiplies the effectiveness of every other dot. More dispersion, more overlap, more redundancy. If one base is hit, 27 others continue operating. If one radar goes dark, 5 overlapping systems still track the target. Antelope Reef fills a specific gap. It pushes Chinese military capability closer to Vietnam's central coast. 216 nautical miles from Da Nang. 162 nautical miles from China's Sanya Naval Base. Close enough to resupply easily from Hainan. Far enough south to extend surveillance coverage toward shipping lanes that carry $5.3 trillion in annual trade.
That does not mean the South China Sea is becoming any safer. Quite the opposite. As Southeast Asian claimants have realized that Beijing is unable to stop their activities in gray zone methods alone.
And here is the strategic trap that most commentary misses. Gregory Poling, the director of AMTI and one of the most cited South China Sea analysts in the world, wrote for War on the Rocks that destroying China's major Spratly outposts alone could require up to 300 missiles. 100 more for Woody Island, dozens more for smaller outposts. 300 missiles. The United States, according to a CSIS report by Seth Jones, would likely run out of long-range precision-guided munitions in less than a week during a conflict over Taiwan. That means every new island China builds makes the military cost of rolling back their presence higher, and higher, and higher. Antelope Reef does not just give China one more airstrip. It raises the price of challenging the entire network by another 100 missiles that the US may not have. That is the real strategy. Not to win a battle, to make the battle too expensive to start. Now, let's talk about timing, because the timing tells you everything. China has held the Paracel Islands since 1974. They have had a small outpost on Antelope Reef for years. They could have started this construction at any point in the last decade. They did not. They chose October 2025. 1 month before tensions with Iran escalated to their breaking point. 4 months before the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. 5 months before the Strait of Hormuz closed and the Philippines declared its first ever national energy emergency. Coincidence? Consider the pattern. In 1974, China seized the Paracels from South Vietnam during the final stages of the Vietnam War. Washington was distracted. Saigon was losing. Beijing moved when nobody was watching. In 2012, China took effective control of Scarborough Shoal while the Philippines and the United States were negotiating a mutual withdrawal. Manila withdrew. Beijing did not. The world was focused on the Arab Spring and the Syrian civil war. In 2013 through 2016, China built 3,200 acres of artificial islands in the Spratlys, while the Obama administration debated how to respond. By the time freedom of navigation operations began, the islands had runways and radar. Every single time, Beijing moved during a window of distraction. Every single time, the world protested after the concrete had already dried. Vietnam's formal protest over Antelope Reef came on March 22, 2026. 5 months after dredging began. China's response was a single sentence. Zisha Kundao is China's inherent territory, over which there is no dispute. Necessary construction on our own territory is aimed at improving living and working conditions. Lin Jian. Living and working conditions. The exact same phrase they used about Mischief Reef in 1995. Before the runway, before the missile batteries, before the fighter jets. Same words. Every time. Like a script they never bother to update. Because they have never needed to. I know what some of you are thinking. Antelope Reef is in the Paracels. That is a Vietnam-China dispute, not a Philippine one. Why should Manila care? Here is why. In February 2026, the Philippine Coast Guard reported something that had never happened before. Their vessels lost Starlink satellite internet connectivity whenever they approached within 24 nautical miles of Scarborough Shoal. Their patrol aircraft received a message: service not currently available in this country. China was jamming Philippine government communications inside Philippine waters, using electronic warfare capabilities. Those capabilities do not come from a single ship. They come from a network. A network of bases equipped with signals intelligence systems, electronic warfare platforms, and radar arrays. The same kind of infrastructure that is about to be built on Antelope Reef. Every base China adds to this network tightens the electronic fence around the West Philippine Sea. It does not matter that Antelope is in the Paracels. The surveillance coverage, the electronic warfare reach, the radar overlap, it all feeds into the same system that pressures Philippine operations at Scarborough Shoal, at Second Thomas Shoal, at Bajo de Masinloc. And consider this. The Philippines is about to host Balikatan 2026, the largest iteration of the joint military exercises in history. Japanese combat troops will set foot on Philippine soil for the first time since 1945. The United States, Australia, and France are all participating. Cyber defense drills are included for the first time. While the Philippines and its allies practice deterrence, China is building the infrastructure that makes deterrence harder. That is the race. And right now, concrete is faster than committees. I want to leave you with one thought. In 1994, a handful of Chinese construction workers landed on Mischief Reef, 125 nautical miles from Palawan, inside Philippine waters under international law. They built small wooden structures and told the world they were shelters for fishermen. The Philippines protested. The world noted it. Nobody stopped it. 22 years later, Mischief Reef had a military runway, fighter jet hangars, anti-ship cruise missiles, surface-to-air missile systems, and radar that could track every ship and aircraft across the southern South China Sea. That is the story of every Chinese artificial island. It starts with dredging. It ends with missiles. And the window to do something about it always closes before anyone acts. Antelope Reef is in that window right now. The dredging is done. The foundations are going in. The runway edge is already visible from space. In 12 to 18 months, this video will be a historical record of what Antelope Reef looked like before the weapons arrived. The question is not whether China will finish this island. They will. The question is whether anyone, the Philippines, Vietnam, Japan, Australia, the United States, will do anything differently this time. Or whether we will have this exact same conversation again. About the next reef. And the next one. And the one after that. If this is the first time you are hearing about Antelope Reef, you are not alone. This story is not getting the attention it deserves. Share this video, tag someone who needs to see it. And if you want to follow this as it develops because the construction is not stopping, subscribe and hit the bell. I will have every update. This is IndoPacific Report. I'll see you in the next one.